Welcome to another episode of Low Tech Garage. Today I'm going to be working on our OBS F150. It's due in for an oil change, and I thought I'd show folks that are new to the platform how to do this. Specifically, our F150 has the 4.9 liter inline six, but fundamentally the process is exactly the same. So I thought I'd just walk you through it for those folks that might be new to the platform and want to learn something new about basic maintenance on these trucks. So step one for me is, let's get this hood open, and this is very much a work truck. So if you've got the 4.9, it will look very, very similar to this. If you've got the 302 or the 351, obviously a little bit different layout, but fundamentally changing your oil on this platform is going to be very, very similar. And I will say, like I said, this is our work truck. It's got about 225,000 miles on it, and we keep up with the maintenance on it, but we are always budget friendly as well. You know, the truck has some rust on it. Cosmetically, it may not be pretty, but mechanically it is sound. So I will put the parts that I'm using in the description below, specifically for the 4.9, and I will share those with you just so that if you're trying to keep this on a budget, you know where you can get this stuff on the more affordable side as well. And after opening the hood, for me, I always put gloves on for doing oil changes because they are just messy, and I get my oil catch pan out. If you're someone that does a lot of work on cars, I highly recommend these ones where it has the container below, because honestly, it keeps everything in one place. You don't have to worry about dumping it out right away, splashing, things like that. These work really, really well. And I guess I can't waste any more time. I'm gonna have to get under the car, and I'll show you what we're working with under there too. All right, well, you find me on the passenger side of the vehicle underneath. And as you can see, it's a little grubby down here, but you can see the drain plug. And this is 5/8. Basically, this engine can trace its roots back to the 1950s. So everything on this is pretty much, for the most part, standard size. But yeah, we're gonna get this 5/8 drain plug undone and drain down here into our catch pan. And there she goes. Yum. And this is about after 5,000 or 6,000 miles of use on the truck, so definitely a little bit on the dirty side. And like I mentioned, all the oil just disappears in the bottom here, so no mess to worry about when you're dragging this thing back out from under the truck, anything like that. It all just stores itself in here. I think this is like 24 quarts or something, so it holds a bunch of oil, so super useful. While the oil's draining, I thought I'd show you some of the other tools and supplies I like to use while doing this. So obviously the oil filter, pH 8A. The 8A is the correct one for the 4.9 liter. Obviously, if you got the 302 or the 351, make sure you get the right filter, but this will do the 6-cylinder. Always some brake parts cleaner. I always like to spray everything down once I've done the oil change, just so everything's clean. That way I know if I have a leak in the future. Handy dandy shop towels, equally for cleaning up any mess you inevitably make. The gloves I shared with you. And I always like to have one of these. It's an oil filter wrench. You know, the gorillas that sometimes put the oil filters on and they are just frozen up. Well, this tool right here will save your life. You can easily get around the filter and lock onto it and help you undo it when you're in a pinch. So just thought I'd share that. I can put some of this stuff in the description below just as a supply kit that might be useful for y'all. But I'm gonna go back under the car and see if we're done draining. And there's still a little bit coming out. So while it's doing that, let's go find the oil filter. The oil filter is pretty visible from the top, so I thought I'd show you. Just a side mount guy right here. So I'm gonna move the catch pan over a little bit, and then we'll get this thing undone and let the oil drain out from here as well. All right, so we are under the driver's side, and you can see our oil filter up here. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. Show you kind of what we've got to do here. Yeah, reposition myself a little bit, and then we should be able to unscrew this. Inevitably, I expect some oil to come out. There it goes. I'll let this drain a little bit so we don't make too much of a mess. But yeah, I'm sure as I get this thing the whole way off, it will dump out. But this thing's got a long thread. Still going, still going. Mike, there we go. And we're left with the oil filter housing where we'll thread the new filter on. We are now pretty much drained. I'd call this sufficient, so I'm going to work on putting the drain plug back in. All right. Don't worry, this is not an impact. All right, we are done up. This thing does maybe 15 to 20 foot-pounds. So I just make sure it's snug and we are good. And as mentioned, I like to use some parts cleaner to clean where the oil has dripped. Really with the idea of having a clean area around the drain plug. So if we do have a leak, I can see that easily. And obviously, keep your catch pan underneath to catch these fluids as well. And now we prepare the new oil filter. I always get a little bit of oil on my finger and then just put that on the mating surface of the new filter. That makes sure that it can tighten up nicely without binding. And now we'll put it back up on the block. And because it's a side mount filter, you can't really properly pre-fill it with oil. So just something to keep in mind. You know, sometimes you can pour half a quart in your filter before you put it in, and that just helps when you very first start the car up. But snug it up, but beyond that, you should be good. And now I'm going to spray this area down with parts cleaner as well, just so you have a clean surface to start off with. All right, well, that was all the fun stuff under the truck. And now for the last couple steps, and it's all nice and easy right under the hood. So let's get this oil cap off. And let's get our funnel in. Let's get the oil ready. So there's a couple suggested weights for this motor, but I'm gonna go with the 1030. I think it should do the trick, so we're gonna get this in. All right, well, I won't film too much of this because I don't wanna make a mess, but we're gonna be putting this whole 5 quarts in here. So I'll check back in just a minute. All right, so I put 5.5 quarts in. We're gonna start the truck up. It says somewhere between 5.5 and 6, and we'll pull the dipstick and see where the level's at. I always take the time to pull my funnel out, put the cap back on before starting it up. If I can start it, here we go. And this is just good practice, really. So let's go start it up. All right, here we go. And we saw the oil pressure gauge jump up, so that's a good sign. Just give it a second, and then shut it back off. That's probably good. And now, let's pull the dipstick. All right, a little hard to see, but we're more than 3/4 to the fill line. So I may just put a little dash in there, but honestly, it's about perfect. But just given the age of the engine, you know, it probably does use a little bit of oil. So just top it right to the top so that it's good for the next service interval. Well, the last piece of the pie. Let's get this shut back up. And there you have it, folks. Oil change service complete on our OBS Ford. It is now good for another 5,000 miles on the road. If you're new to the channel and you like this type of content on maintaining these old OBS Fords, keeping them on the road and reliable, we have a ton of videos out there already on common issues and fixes on what to do to keep them serviceable and enjoyable for the foreseeable future. So if that's something you're interested in, I highly recommend you hit that like button and you subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit that notification bell, as we do tend to put new videos out at least once a week. And please, please, please drop me a comment as well. Let me know your thoughts on the video, if there's anything we can do better. And before I forget, I will put in the description below basically my oil change service kit must-haves, so that if you need any of the pieces or parts that I've shown here in the video today, you can easily get them below. So hope you found this informative, and until the next video, see you soon.